Hi, my name is Shayakalide and I'd like to welcome you to my Cisco training. Okay, in this training, what I'll be showing you how you can configure router on a stick, which is equally called Inter-Vlan routing. Now, the concept here is that what we're dealing majorly here is with VLANs. Okay, and a VLAN is a logical separation of a LAN. Okay, what I mean is that it's a logical LAN. Okay, so that means if I have a switch here, say I have a switch. Okay, and I want to create another network. I want to create like I want to have two separate networks on a particular switch. In other words, I'm trying to segment my network. Okay, so now what I want to do is that now what I want to ensure that, because now I have two networks. This is one network. This is another network. Okay, so now if I'm configuring using a switch, I won't be able to ping across. I won't be able to route my traffic from this network to this network. Okay, because I'm working on a layer 2 switch. But if I want to do that, I need to ensure that I have a layer 3 device who can enable routing, so I can route traffic from this network to this other network. Ideally, this is what it means. If I'm not using a VLAN, if I'm using a switch, I'm segmenting my switch physically. I have one switch here, this is another switch. Okay, so this is one network, this is another network. But I can have it virtual here, meaning that I can have a switch with different networks. Okay, so that's what VLAN basically is. And VLAN is configured for a lot of reasons, but the two topmost reasons, because number one, for security reasons, I am trying to ensure that, let's say I have a file server here, or I have a web server, okay, and I don't want um, users from another network to be able to reach, and I can create VLAN and ensure that my other server or whatever resource I'm trying to protect is on another network. Okay, or another thing is that I need to ensure that for easy management purposes, it's easier for me to manage VLANs and having four different switches. Okay, I have one switch, and I have to manage those different subnets together. But if I have it just on one, so I just manage the VLAN separately. Okay, so these are some of the major reasons for easy management and also for security reasons. That's one of the reasons why we have a VLAN. So if I want to do that, I need to employ the services of a router. So this is my router here. Okay, so let me just quickly perform, ensure that I could connect them together. Okay, so I have it here. I'll do interface 2. I'll do the same thing here, interface 3. Same thing here, interface 4. Okay, interface 5. Okay, so let me configure this. This is 1, configure 2. So now my infrastructure is actually set up now. Okay, so let me just quickly use this just to make it a little bit decent and neat and easy to understand. Okay, so I have this here. Okay, so now we're good. Been able to create my two logical networks. So I'll call this my field color. Okay, good. So I'll call this VLAN 10. I'll call this VLAN 20. Okay, so we're good. So we're good. So I have these two VLANs configured already. So now what I need to do now is to configure it on the switch properly. Okay, but let me add my network to it. So we're using 192.168.10.0 network. Okay, /25. So that means I can have two separate networks. 25, two separate networks. Okay, so now I've configured that. So one thing I need to do now is that I need to configure it properly on the switch. So I click on my switch, full screen here. Okay, so I do my EN enable mode. Now my privilege mode. Okay, Conf T to move to my global configuration mode. So I do interface 2 and 3. I add it to my VLAN 10, okay, and VLAN interface 4 and 5 to VLAN 20. So to do that, I'll do interface range, because there are the ranges of interfaces, okay, so it's not just single. If it was single, I would have done interface 10, the interface number, but I'm just doing 2 in 1. So I do interface range FA0 interface 2 to 3. Okay, so I ensure that it's on switch access mode. Okay, port mode access. So I do switch ports. I need to add that port into VLAN 10. Switch ports access VLAN 10. Okay, so I've created VLAN 10. So I do the same thing for VLAN 20. I'll just do 4 and 5. Okay, switch ports access, switch port mode access. Okay, switch port access VLAN 20. Okay, so I've added those two ports. So to verify that, I just do show VLAN brief. Okay, so we've done that. That's good. We're perfect on that. Okay, so now what I need to do is to add IP addresses to my IP address to the interface so I could test it. Say assign interface to respective VLANs, which you've done. So I need to assign IP address to my computer. So I do that. I come here, add IP addresses 192.168.10.2. Okay, so here is 128 because my serial notation is 25. So here will be 128. So my gateway is .1 rather. That's 168.10.1. Okay. So now that I get my one, now this 25 serial notation means that I have two separate networks, 0 and 128 networks. So these are my networks ID. So now this network ID has a valid host of 126 here. So now my first host will be 1. First valid host here for this network will be 1, and for this network will be 129. So I'm using those IP addresses for my default gateway. So for my client, I'll start from 2. That's where I got my 2 from. Then here I'll start with 130. Okay, so that's what I intend to do. So here I'll do. So that's how I got my net. That's why how my gateway is 1. Yeah, 10.10.1, 10.10.1 network. So I'll do the same thing here. 192.168.3.10, rather, sorry, the 3. Okay, so 128. Okay, 192.168.10.1. Okay, so good. So I'll do the same thing here. So here will be 130, but my default gate will be 129. So I do 192.168.10.130. 130. So here will be 128. So 192.168.10.129. Okay. So I'll do the same thing here too. So here will be 131. 192.168.10.131. So here will be 128. Okay. 192.168.10.129. So we're good. You're perfect. So now let me ping the computers in my VLAN. So my VLAN I have 130. So I do ping 192.168.10.10 rather the 130. So I can ping the computers in the same VLANs. Okay. So let me do for VLAN 10. Ping 192.168.10.3. So I can ping them. But now let me try pinging across to VLAN 20. So VLAN 20 is 130. Okay. I should get a request timeout for sure. Okay, good, beautiful. So that means that we can connect across. We can route traffic from VLAN 10 to VLAN 20. Okay. So now one thing we need to do is that if you're trying to send traffic across a VLAN, that traffic must pass through a trunk port. Okay, because it's a trunk port and virtual interfaces. So each traffic will have to pass through virtual interfaces. So that's why it's called a trunk port. You have to it has to pass through a trunk. Okay, your VLAN always pass through a trunk. Okay, so that's one thing we need to bear in mind. So in this interview, I need to ensure that my interface 01 is made a trunk port. Okay, so back. Okay, so I do exit. So I go back to my interface FS0, FL1, just switch ports, switch port mode, chunk. Okay, so it's made a chunk port. Okay, so I'm done with my switch. Just need to save my configuration. Okay, fine. So let me go back to my router and ensure that my router is configured. So now in configuring Inter-Vlan routing, your interface, you have to work with virtual interfaces. So virtual interface means it's called sub interface on a router. What it means is that you're having an actual interface and you're ensuring that you're virtualizing that interface. What it means is that you have one interface here, so it's like you're having another link here, okay, which is virtual. Okay, that's what the virtual interface means. So you have one link here, you have another link here. It's just as if you have two separate routers, but using that, you're gonna have one router here with two virtual sub interfaces. Okay, so to do that, let me go back to here, configure my sub interface. Okay, so I need to go back to my interface. So I do conf t interface fa0-0. Okay, so I do a no shot. So by default, every interface is shut down on the Cisco router. So I do interface. So that interface is open. So I need to configure sub interface. To do that, I just need to do f/.1. So it has made that interface sub. It's saying that upline interface is a change to off. So this interface fa01 is the sub interface of FA00 fast internet 00 interface. Okay, so now I've configured, so I've done that. So all I just need to do is to add IP address. Now this point, this .1 is saying that I have to ensure that it's tally with my VLAN. Okay, so I'm doing VLAN 10. Okay, that's why I'm using 1. I could use 20. Okay, so it has to tally with my VLAN, so I'm using .1. I could use 10, but I'm still using 1. Okay, so 1 is still something that I could work with. So add IP address to it. IP address 192.168.10.1. Now this IP address is my gateway IP address for my for my VLAN. So this is my VLAN. So this is more like my gateway for that VLAN. Okay, so assuming I have two different routers. So here my interface is going route to the router. So my default gateway for VLAN 10 will be .1. My default gateway for VLAN 20 will be .129. Okay, so that's what my sub interfaces are for. So I do my subnet mask 255.255, sorry, .255.255.128. Okay, it's configuring IP port and line was allowed. Oh, I didn't perform encapsulation, so I need to ensure that it's encapsulation. So I do encapsulation .1q. Okay, and it has to be VLAN 10 because the interface must match. Sub interface must match with the VLAN. Because I've done that, so I need to go back to configure my interface. So I'm good. So I do the same thing for interface for 20. So I do 2. Okay, it's up automatically. So I do encapsulation .1q. That's 1q 20. Okay, so I add my IP address to it. 192.168.10.1. No, the 129.255.255.255. 128. Okay, so I'm good. So I can do my interface. Do show IP interface brief. Okay, so now I see that my interfaces are up. Okay, so I have 10.1. So now I should be able to ping across my VLANs. Okay, so I'm done. So now let me ping from this router, from this PC to my 130. Okay, see. Okay, so we're good. We're fine. So I can ping across now. I can ping from I can ping from my VLAN 10 to my VLAN 20. okay, as a result of configuring Inter-Vlan routing. So I'd like to thank you for viewing and have a great day.